It is time for Around the 412 with Smitty and Tyler.
Welcome back to another episode of Around the 412. I'm Tyler. With me, as always, is my co-host, Smitty. Be sure to go and follow us on all of our social medias at Around the 412. While you're on a listening platform over on YouTube, go to the description. We got 2 links, a Facebook and an Etsy link. We got everything custom designs. It's our friend Haley Wagner's small business. You want to go check that out. We're about 2 weeks away from Christmas time. So I don't know how much you're going to be able to get involved with the Christmas stuff, but she does have some Christmas things available as far as customized stockings. You can get a Santa sack for the gifts for your kids. You can get some customized Christmas clothing. She's got all of it advertised on her Facebook. I'm sure it's over on the Etsy too. So go check some of that out. She can also do non-Christmas things, by the way. It's just Christmas season, so that's what we're talking about. And speaking of Christmas, we did wrap up year 6 of Rock Around the 412. We did give a big thank you in the Steelers episode, another thank you in the Penguins episode. So we'll keep this one a little bit shorter, but just another big thank you for all of you who participated. If you want to hear about the totals, Smitty tweeted about them on Twitter. We also talked about them in our Penguins episode. So if you missed that episode, go check that one out right now. And if you want to hear more about it, go talk about this year specifically, go check out our Steelers episode right now. But this is a Pirates episode. And why is this unique? Because we haven't recorded one in like 2 months. So
has it been 2 months?
It's been 2 months since we recorded a Pirates episode.
Wow.
Our last our last episode was, can the Pirates be the Diamondbacks? No, they can't. I answered that pretty quickly, but
Diamondbacks signed Endy Rodriguez, right? So
yeah. No, they can't. They can't do it. They can't do it. But that's all right. That was our last episode. It was back in October. But we're here. We're going to talk Pirates baseball for everyone who wants to listen to the two of us talk about Pirates baseball. Don't know why the hell you want to do that, but
there's tens of us.
Here it is.
Okay, so they have made some moves. It may not be the moves that are the most inspiring. Maybe, going into this free agency, we thought they'd be a little bit more active, have a little bit more splash. But they're checking boxes. Like, they've gotten a starting pitcher, they've gotten a first baseman, they've gotten a catcher. We'll talk to that move specifically because of it, something else that kind of plays into it that they probably knew was coming down the pipeline here. But let's start with the trade. Marco Gonzales, who had already been moved in the Jarred Kelenic trade to the Atlanta Braves. It kind of made sense clearly Atlanta was making that trade to get Jarred Kelenic, but they also took on Evan White and Marco Gonzales. They've since flipped both of those players going to different places. But Marco Gonzales for the Pirates. So he's coming off surgery. He only pitched in like 12 games last year. He had some type of nerve thing, and that can be kind of scary, right? Like, what if he doesn't bounce back from this? And that's kind of the worry for me because, health permitting, I think they got a guy that can be a fine back end of the rotation pitcher, which is what they definitely needed, at least one of those types of guys added to this rotation. So no issue with the addition of Marco Gonzales, assuming health is there with him. I think he can be a piece for sure of this rotation, but that can't be all that they do. And, you see guys coming off the board left and right. Literally before we started recording this, Jack Flaherty signing a 1-year deal with the Detroit Tigers, who I thought would have made a ton of sense for this rotation, especially on a short-term deal. Now, I would have liked to have gotten to 2 years as opposed to 1. Maybe it was his preference for 1. Maybe nobody out there was giving him a multi-year deal based off his last year in St. Louis and then being traded to Baltimore. I don't know. But so I'm okay with the Marco Gonzales addition, assuming that there's more to be done with the starting rotation. Because, man, as it looks right now, we know Johan Oviedo is not going to pitch in 2024. You got Mitch Keller, you got Marco Gonzales again coming off this injury, and then what? There's a lot of question marks here with this rotation right now that are going to need answers. I think even with adding Marco Gonzales, they have to add at least one more. I would like to see 2 more. We'll see how that plays out. What's your take on Marco Gonzales and the state of this pitching staff?
I mean, the pitching staff as a whole, still a big question mark for me, especially since you're not going to be getting Oviedo. I would feel a lot more comfortable if we didn't get the Major League debut and Major League rookie season that we got from Quinn Priester last year. I'd feel a lot differently if that would have gone a lot better. But considering that it didn't, I still have a lot of question marks for what this Pirates rotation is going to look like. The bullpen, not as much. I think the bullpen at least is more promising on the surface, but I think the rotation, they at least need to add one more arm from what they currently have right now. But as far as Marco Gonzales goes by himself, if you just look at last year, it's such a small sample size that obviously his ERA shot up in that sample size.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it was only 10 games that he had pitched in. So I don't think that you can really take a lot away from that. But what I see when I look at like years prior, obviously – from what he was a couple years ago in Seattle, but looking back in like 2019 and 2020, 21 to 22, he was declining a little bit as far as like the statistics go. But I think for what the Pirates are going to be looking for, you kind of hit it on the head. I think this is like a middle to back end of the rotation guy, someone that could do well for you, but you don't have necessarily the high expectations of being able to carry a rotation with Keller. So you're not bringing him in to be able to do that. So I think that he's going to be having a good fit. And I think that the Pirates are going to be able to use him well. I just think that as far as the rotation goes as a whole, still not confident in it whatsoever. Bullpen, though, like I have way more confidence in the bullpen. Obviously, I'd like to see them add to that as well, but it just the guys that we have in that bullpen, I feel like the Pirates are better suited to go into next season with right now than what their rotation has right now. I just don't think they have enough arms in the rotation that you could feel good about.
Yeah, no, I agree. First base is the spot where I would have really liked to seen more of a splat. Like between that and starting pitching, that is where I wanted to see them actually like spend more than they typically would. And I thought that they might actually this year. I thought if there's a year to do it based off how young the roster was, 2 years younger than any other major league roster by average age by the time they ended last season. I thought first base was probably the spot to do it at. But very similar to like bringing in like a Daniel Vogelbach, Rowdy Tellez brought in on a 1-year deal about $3 million.
What do you mean by that? Did Smitty go away or did I go away? No idea.
Yeah, like I'm not even just talking about like body type, like literally like the type of player you're getting. I feel like very uninspiring at first base. Rowdy Tellez did have 20 or 35 homers back in 2022. So like maybe they're hoping to tap back into that, but last year very uninspiring. It's a shame that it seems like they're getting priced out of free agents that don't make sense for them to be getting priced out of. Like Carlos Santana expressed interest in coming back here. He would be an upgrade from Rowdy Tellez. Like if you were really going to go bargain bin shopping at first base, Carlos Santana was right there. Even if that was the route that you were going, I would have liked to have seen them aim even higher than that. But if that was really the route that you were going, I would have gone with Carlos Santana 11 times out of 10 before Rowdy Tellez. And that's nothing against him. Obviously I'm hoping that he plays really well this year and bounces back from his 2023. But this is a guy that was just non-tendered by the Brewers. Like what? I mean, it's not like he was
a coveted free
agent. Yeah. It's funny. I was going to use those exact same words. So this is very uninspiring to me. Welcome to Pittsburgh, Rowdy, but I can't get fully on board with this, assuming that they don't add like another first baseman to go with them.
But we'll have you on the show. But
I mean,
welcome. Sure. We'll have you on the show, but you're very uninspiring.
Yeah.
Well, like Billy Bean said in Moneyball, there are rich teams, then there are poor teams, then there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's us. And that's how I feel right now looking at the Pirates offseason. And that's how I feel right now, especially when you look at just contrast what we have been doing as far as the Pirates have been doing this offseason. Contrast that with what the Dodgers just did with Ohtani. If it's so unclear that that baseball is an unfair game.
And they're playing the same sport in the same league. It's crazy.
It is an unfair game.
You know what?
And I love the edit. I love the edit from the Wolf of Wall Street of somebody explaining
Yeah.
the deal, and then they're at the end they're just like, was any of this legal? Absolutely effing not. It's so good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as far as Rowdy Tellez goes, like, yeah, I mean, he's fine, uninspiring. If he plays at first base, then whatever. I really see him more or less as just like an off the bench guy, someone that you're going to bring in. I don't think that he's going to be doing a ton of DHing because I would imagine that's where Andrew McCutchen's going to be most nights, and so that's why I think if he's not playing first base, he's not going to be in the lineup. So unless you're giving Kutch like a rest night, or if there's off chance that Kutch is actually going to be playing in the field, but I just imagine Kutch at this point is just going to be mostly be in that DH spot. But
I mean, if they really want to have the worst possible offseason from like an actual standpoint and a PR standpoint, just don't re-sign Andrew McCutchen either.
Oh yeah, this is me talking as if he's actually on the active roster.
Yeah.
He's not on the active roster right now. He's not signed by the Pirates right now. Yeah, if they want to like absolutely just lose everybody that they brought back with last year, that'd be a quick way to do it. But yeah, just super. I mean, the offseason as a whole, I don't know what to expect. I don't know if we should have or should be even expecting more. I mean, it's kind of true where what I just said, like there's rich teams, there's poor teams, then there's us. Like we are just a laughing stock kind of. And I feel really like my patience is running thin with Ben Sherrington. I was excited about the hire when it happened, but I'm about ready to move on from him this season if we don't see any progress.
It doesn't make sense because like the whole thing was he had other offers, right? Like why would he choose to come to Pittsburgh and be strapped like this financially if he had offers to go to one of the places was San Fran that was talked about. Like why did he come to Pittsburgh then? But it's like maybe he felt like there wouldn't be as much pressure here because he knew the restraints the owner would put on him, and that's kind of where everybody's focus would go. I don't know. But yeah, very uninspiring. I've used that word a lot, like to describe the acquisitions of players, but his entire tenure here so far, really, to me, just hasn't given me much hope for what the future holds. And this, I thought, we've talked about it. Like, we thought this was a really important offseason for them because of the way that they finished last year, how many young players are on the roster, just the trajectory of this team. Like if they're going to win, like if you're going to re-sign Brian Reynolds and keep Brian Hayes, you better be about to win like right now, or at least, competing for a wild card spot at the very least. So in a division that seems very much open, you should try to win every year, but it's very like alarming that the last couple seasons, with as open as the division has been, this is how the Pirates have kind of proceeded. And I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it. I don't know what the rest of their offseason is going to look like. We could finish doing this and they could make, their first splash free agent signing. Wouldn't that be so poetic of what this show has been? But it's just, I really thought that there's going to be more activity this offseason than we've seen just because of where the team is kind of at within their rebuild. But we're sitting here right now and it looks like basically any other Pirates offseason.
Well, there was more. We got Ali Sanchez as well. You forgot about him.
Yeah. That's the one that we were waiting to talk about because it was kind of like a corresponding thing with an injury that we didn't know about until like a month after it happened. But Endy Rodriguez, promising young catcher, who I think was kind of one of those spots that I'm talking about, like those bright spot young players that we were looking forward to in 2024 and was part of this kind of young core going forward, is going to miss the entire season because of an elbow injury that he suffered while playing winter ball while swinging a bat. And yeah, it's the Pirates. So like, of course this happened. When you're getting O'Neal Cruz back, you're losing Endy Rodriguez. That's just the way it goes for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But we got Henry Davis going back behind the plate, according to the organization. Like, I don't know if you want to take their word for that happening or what, but multiple times, like Ben Sherrington talked about it. And now we've heard Derek Shelton say it as well, both at winter meetings. So, okay, we'll take their word for that Henry Davis is going to be behind the plate more. That to me would open up a spot more so in the outfield. Because I'm not trusting, Josh Palacios as much as I like him, here and there, or as a pinch hitter really seems to be like his forte. In a limited role, I like Palacios. I mean, I'm not even, we've had our conversations about Jack Sawinski. Like, I'm sure he has a place in this league. It's just the inconsistency is hard to get past for me on the Pirates in particular, just they need more from that type. They can't afford to have that type of player in their lineup, in my opinion. But okay,
they
so
can
Henry
afford
Davis.
it. That's about the only player they can't afford.
Henry Davis goes back behind the plate, and you got Jason DeLay and Ollie Sanchez, who's coming in from outside the organization. So that is their move.
Mid.
That's their move at catcher. Like, assuming that you're not going to have Endy for the year.
Hey, they could go
Ollie
get World
Sanchez.
Series winner Austin Hedges.
He signed with the Guardians.
Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
1 year, $4 million he got from the Guardians.
Good for him. He won a World Series.
So he made what, $9 million in the last 2 years?
Fleeced.
That's kind of
World
hard
Series.
to fathom. Yeah. Good for him, living his life. But yeah, I don't know. So then with Henry Davis going behind the plate, do you focus, is an outfielder in play now this offseason, or should it be for the Pirates?
Yeah, Andrew McCutchen.
Man. Yeah.
They're going to play him in the outfield every day. They're going to trot him out in right field.
At his age, now off this injury, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to. I have no expectation that anything else is going to happen. As far as splash goes, no, they're not making a splash. It is going to be a offseason of mid that they're going to sign for cheap and fill roster spots with. Some of them might turn out to be okay. Like I look at like a Rich Hill from last year who actually turned out to be pretty good for the Pirates, and they ended up moving him at the deadline. But it is tough to be a baseball fan, but it's really tough to be a Pirates fan. It's really tough.
Yeah. Listen, I put this out there, and I this is kind of like the epitome of the issue that I have with baseball. Shohei Ohtani signs 10 years, $700 million, and we can talk about the contract stuff, whatever. But just the fact that type of player hits free agency, and you have all of 3 teams that even seem interested in him or even appear to be suitors for his services, maybe the most talented baseball player ever, for sure, in our lifetimes. And there's 3 teams. In the entire time, it just seems like it's Dodgers. Like that's why, like when there was that,
and you had a tweet
turned out to be fake.
Who it was about? I think it was a Japanese player, and you said that you were we've gotten to the point where you're rooting for the Yankees to sign somebody just so the Dodgers don't.
Oh yeah. Yamamoto, the pitcher.
Yeah.
Seriously though, I mean, you're looking for. There's not like a lack of parity in baseball. We just saw the Rangers beat the Diamondbacks. Like those are 2 teams that we haven't seen in the mix for a while. But there is a lack of parity in terms of the teams that are getting these top tier free agents. And blame it on whatever. Like I get it. Like the owners could certainly spend more. We just were talking about the Pirates. Bob Nutting could absolutely spend more than he does. But regardless, not every owner can go and do what the Dodgers did. Not every team can go and do what the Dodgers did. So I don't know. I think
the Ohtani contract. The Ohtani contract. I don't know the exact math on this, so I'm just pulling this out of my head. But it is. I would be willing to bet that over the life of the contract, so like the full $700 million, that contract alone is probably worth more than the last. I would say somewhere between 6 to 8 years, maybe even longer, of Pirates payroll total.
Well, it's only
over the last like 8 years.
The Pirates last decade is 712.
Oh, is it? Okay. So yeah, there we go. Yeah. It is just unfair. And then when you look at how they maneuver it, so they're only technically on the books for $2 million a year while he's playing.
No interest added to it.
It's ridiculous.
In doing so. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not like.
Don't worry, we got Ollie Sanchez. Come on the show, by the way.
I don't want to make it seem like I'm like going to bat for Bob Nutting and other owners that aren't willing to spend or anything like that. But just as a fan, at the end of the day, what I'm looking for is more is parity in the lead and competitive baseball throughout. Every team having the same opportunity to be competitive, and we're just not there. So as a fan of the Pirates, who honestly, my fandom for this entire league has really started to diminish. I'm basically just like a very casual fan at this point that roots for certain players. I hate the Dodgers. Between you and I and the 15 people that are going to watch or listen to the show, I bought a Shohei Ohtani jersey. Dodgers jersey. I got it pre-ordered. I love Shohei, and I'm going to have MLB TV just to watch him on the West Coast. Just like I have since he was playing for the Angels.
Man.
And I don't like the Dodgers. I love Shohei Ohtani.
You're part of the reason that he can sign for $2 million a year. You're buying his merch.
Yeah. All his endorsement stuff and the other money he's going to make off the field are helping that, which would be the case wherever he went, by the way. But I think, just as a fan of, wants to be a fan of baseball because I like baseball as a sport a whole lot, but the MLB sucks. Like, unless you're a fan of a handful of teams, there's teams that are always there. There's like, it's always okay. It's always fun to be a fan of the Dodgers and Yankees. I don't know. Would you even put anybody else in that mix that are like always there, always in the mix? I don't know. Because everybody else is kind of like it's a.
Well, coincidentally enough, always in the mix are the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I'm talking about to make these types of moves, like have fun off seasons like this. Because okay, like the Dodgers got Shohei. Yeah, they're meeting with that pitcher as well, Yamamoto. But what was I gonna say? Oh, the Yankees trading for Juan Soto.
Yeah.
And that's flying under the radar because of the whole Shohei sweepstakes. He was always going to the Dodgers. My thing is, would he have even structured a contract like that for anybody else?
I don't know.
Obviously, we don't know. But like in my mind, I think that was done specifically to accommodate him being a Dodger.
Probably.
Because
makes it easy for him.
He wanted to be.
He just has to move up the valley a little bit.
I think that's the only place he wanted to be, really. At the end of the day.
Do you think that do you think there's any part of him that would have even entertained the idea of staying with the Angels at all? Like any?
I honestly I was on the edge here. I was waiting for you to say, like, if the Pirates made him an offer.
Oh, no. Like, obviously they can't match, even though they are an LA team, Anaheim team technically. They can't match the Dodgers. But do you think that there would have been any sort of like, I don't know, sentimental feeling because that's the team that he started with in the MLB? Or do you think Shohei was looking at it from a strictly like winning and money standpoint?
Yeah, I do, because I understand that was the first MLB opportunity he had, but it's not like they drafted him or anything like that. Like he kind of, when he came up, so it's not like they gave him that first opportunity in that sense. Like I think that there's more attachment there if it's a team that drafts you, holding on to that for some guys. Yeah. But in this case, I don't think that that's the case. I think that he realizes they're not building something here. Like, the Angels weren't. You have Mike freaking Trout and me, if I'm Shohei Ohtani viewing this, and me, and we're not going to the playoffs year in and year out.
Yeah. Man,
now look at that line of protection he's going to have.
You wonder if Trout looks at that move that Ohtani made and is just like, man, I should have done that instead of signing here.
Maybe he can go to Philly. Just another super team.
Man, imagine him and Bryce Harper. Same outfield. Ridiculous.
I like it. At this point,
imagine Bryce Harper as a Pirate. I'd love it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I would love it, but at the same time, it's still not moving the needle enough for the Pirates compared to these other teams. So
absolutely
maybe in the division, I don't know. Maybe in the NL Central because of seemingly every team's lack of interest in doing anything.
I don't know. This is why we haven't recorded an episode in 2 months. It's a Pirates show, and for the last 10 minutes, we haven't been talked about the Pirates.
Yeah. Well, we got on a tangent about, the state of baseball but I'm done if you are. So
Oh, I'm definitely done.
we will see if they do anything else that would kind of dictate when we have another episode of the Around the 412 Pirates show. But we do have a link in the description, a couple links actually, Facebook and Etsy for everything custom designs. Our friend Haley Wagner, small business. Get yourself a customized stocking, customized Santa bag, customized shirt, hoodie, any type of clothing, really. Just not a hat. Everything but hats, custom designs by Haley Wagner. Like I said, Facebook and Etsy down below. Follow us at Around the 412 on all of our social media platforms. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell here. Leave us a 5-star review if you were listening to the show somewhere else. If you are here on YouTube, be sure to check out the Penguins or Steelers episodes this past week. Go check out another video. And until then, we will see you next week. Bye-bye.